Okay, welcome back. We're starting off again in Helsinki, where we left my brother, and he'll be joining us again in Boston, like I said in the last video. But that leaves us with like 3 or 4 more videos before that, at least. Today we're headed to Krakow in Poland, and it's the long way, not the short way. Probably be a lot easier to just fly direct, but we have to make it difficult on ourselves. Our first stop is Stockholm, I believe. So we're just coasting along the northern seas, the coastlines. This is actually going to be somewhat of a boring video. I don't really know how else to put it, but the flight with my brother last video, I swore up and down that that was going to be the most boring video because we were essentially just flying over the top of cities and not really like paying attention to what was happening or anything. But it ended up being pretty good flight. This one, however, the only interesting parts are towards the middle, at least for me. And we do have a lot of weather, like a lot of diverse weather conditions. Specifically, this storm that we seem to follow. But everything else is just kind of bland. So, here's Stockholm. Stockholm, the terrain here and textures is kind of strange. I get the sense that it's not really like filled out, like it's not really like filled out all the way. I'm sure there's been an update since then to fix this, or there's an update in the works to fix it. I don't know. But seeing as how I flew this like basically 5 months ago, there's been a lot of opportunity for that to actually come through. On that note, let's see. We're gonna head up to Fjord, I think is the next stop in Norway, so we have a lot of time to spare. I've been uploading videos pretty consistently for the last couple days and editing them, kind of combining multiple flights into videos. With this one being completed, that leaves Krakow to Paris through the Alps, Paris to London, I believe, around Germany and the rest of Northern Europe. And then, no, I'm sorry, to the, yeah, no, to London. And then it's London to the Faroe Islands throughout all of Great Britain, which is a fun couple flights. And then Faroe Islands all the way to Goose Bay, which is probably going to be one of the most boring flights of all time. And then Goose Bay, we go all the way down to Daytona Beach, Florida, and pick up my brother again in Boston on the way. And that is, I think I have a tour of Central Florida from Daytona Beach to Orlando, and stopping in Big Cypress, I think is the location that we stop in. But that's the last video. I did have a flight through the Key West, but I think I accidentally deleted it. Which is not great. I still have the flight plan in Google Earth, but I don't know. This area of Norway, getting back to the video, is actually really fun. The fjords of Norway, spectacular. I had considered flying a little bit farther north too to catch the Arctic Circle, but we ended up doing that later in between Faroe Islands and Goose Bay. So this is just a little bit of a trip to the Troll Fjord, which should be over there on the left. That little valley. And I've put up some pictures to kind of illustrate that, but yep, it's in there. Pictures are rather spectacular, so if I ever get a chance, I'm definitely coming here in real life. This area of Norway is crazy. It's like, it's hard to describe. It's like all the terrain is shaped like mountains, even though they're not the same size as mountains. They're like miniature mountains. It's like miniature mountains across the entire coastline. And I love that kind of terrain. So yeah, we're gonna head now south to Oslo. Due to the fact that this is a long flight, and I mean like, I was a little bit scared of. I don't even know what I was scared of, to be honest, because it's a game. But like, like you always get this sense of isolation when you're this far from like civilization in this game, especially with like. I guess the problem is that like I always know that the farther I get from my chosen flight path, the farther I'm gonna have to come back. So if, it could be like a fun hour there, but then it'd be a not so much fun hour back, if that makes sense. So in a way, like problems of fuel end up being problems of time, and you have to conserve it in some way. And because we were going so far north to hit the Troll Fjord, we had to come so far south again to meet up with Oslo. And it's a heck of a trek. But we're coming into, I'm gonna butcher this name, but Buda, I think is how it's pronounced. Skip over the top of these, and then into the bay surrounding that area. I'll be honest, this pit stop was kind of an accident. I was in Trollfjorden and decided there was no way I was gonna make that flight. There you go, Buda, something like that. I decided that there was no way I was gonna make that flight back without a pit stop, because it was just so much to do. And unfortunately, it wasn't as clean as I was hoping for. I came in looking at the runway and suddenly realized at the last second, right about here, that I was looking at the taxiway instead. I don't know, it's these remote airports with two, yeah, that looks like a runway. It doesn't even look like a taxiway. It's these remote airports with with really similar looking taxiways and runways that confuse me, like the one in Athens, which I guess wasn't really remote. But anyway, off we go again to Oslo. I was actually going to make a stop in Fjorden. which you'll see on the map, but about 3/4 of the way to Oslo, we caught up with that storm again. And, yeah, you can see it there. A little bit to the west of Oslo. Honestly, I probably could have just skimmed over the top of it. I had the time, but I was, getting a little weary. Misjudged the amount of time it would take to get up to Trofjord. There's the top of the storm. This storm, man, like, it's the same one that we picked up in Stockholm. And it's gonna stay with us until we leave, like, until we get to London. It's gonna be with us the entire rest of the time in Europe. So, which is a blessing in disguise, because to be honest, I'm not really a fan of flying in perfect weather conditions. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, and like anytime I do a tour, I definitely do that, but when the weather is a little sick, when the weather is under the weather, if you know what I mean. Yeah, there's the diversion, by the way, from Fjord. There at South Park. I'm trying so hard. Yeah, when the weather's bad, it's more fun, in my opinion. It's more challenging and therefore, like, requires more effort to complete flights. I don't think we saw much of Oslo, to be honest. Disappointing that I did this, but we were in a bit of a hurry. I don't even think I chopped the landing gears until the last second. Until the very last second. You'll hear it. There. That's the landing gears going down. I was worried that we were not going to make it with the battery. Because the Oculus, it warns you, but it doesn't give you like an accurate time frame to do it. It doesn't give you a time frame in order to complete it, and you have no idea how fast time's going, so you're constantly just like watching these notifications come up and then ignoring them, hoping that you'll have enough time. But yeah, here's the top of the storm again. We waited like 5 days, maybe a week, to complete the next part of the flight because I was just so out of it. I might have been sick that time too, actually. But we head from Oslo to Copenhagen as our first major destination. I'm not even gonna call it a pit stop because we don't stop in Copenhagen. I don't think we stop at all until Krakow. Actually, I think this is a solid straight through flight. We do a little bit of hovering and, you know, pathfinding, I guess, but yeah, there's Oslo to the right. Didn't get to see much of it. I was a little bit frustrated, I think, to be honest, because I had spent, I had forced myself, you know, due to me feeling like I owed it to myself to see the fjords. I had forced myself to go north to the fjords, and it like put me in a sour mood. Same with like Minsk, right? We didn't have to go to Helsinki. Could have just skipped across from like Kiev to Warsaw. It would have been super fast, and then just finally got down to the part of Europe that I'm familiar with. But I was wasn't yeah, it was Gothenburg. I wasn't letting myself have fun, essentially. I was making this work. So I guess I'm kind of doing that to myself right now too with the actual editing of these videos. Not that I don't, not that I'm not enjoying it. I just would rather be flying. I always would rather be flying. Helsingborg, at the gap between Sweden and Denmark. And Copenhagen's in the exact same boat. A rather large city, not gonna lie. Strange too because the Sweden side of this city is actually called Malmo. Malmo, I think. And it's not as well known. I like Denmark though. There's a, I think there's a, I want to say there's a bush trip in Denmark that kind of follows the same path we're about to take. Yeah, there's Copenhagen Airport. I've flown in and out of Copenhagen quite a few times, and come through here with helicopters quite a lot. So I don't know much about it. I'm not gonna lie, but it is a really big city. And I'm pretty sure it's photogrammetry to some extent. Okay, here we are. We're heading towards Billund, if you know what that is. So, coasting along the top of Denmark, or coasting along the countryside of Denmark. And unfortunately, as you can see in the distance, heading towards a storm again. The same storm. The exact same storm that we've been avoiding this whole time, or failing to avoid this whole time. Just so happens to be in the path of our travels. But I really, really, really wanted to see Billund because it is the site of the Lego factory, I believe, or at least like the origin of Lego, and the Legoland Billund site there, the headquarters of Lego is here, I think. So unfortunately, I'm pretty sure that I saw it. It is a small town, to be honest, but it's also completely covered with the storm, and we had to get down super low to get below the cloud layer, so there wasn't much to see in the beginning. And not much to see at the end either. You can see just exactly how much visibility there actually was here. Well, not that I'm complaining, once again, like, I mean, it's good for flying, but sightseeing, not so much. I enjoy flying through this kind of weather because it makes things challenging, but like, if I actually want to see something that the weather's covering, that's a problem. You can see the airport there on the right, starting to appear, and Legoland is actually on the southwestern edge of the airport, but it's difficult to see, even from this altitude. In this weather specifically, I mean. Yeah, welcome to Billund. The light of the airport is actually pretty close to Legoland. It's like right across the street from Legoland. So, yeah. That's about as good as a sight of this place as we were gonna get, to be honest. And I actually didn't understand when we came in here just how big this storm was going to be. So our departure out of here ended up being pretty dense. I don't think we got out of the storm until like 3/4 of the way to Hamburg. Yeah, I have icing enabled, but the F-16 has plenty of countermeasures to that effect, so I wouldn't try to fly through here with the Diamond DA-40, I'll tell you that much. Though it was summertime, so I mean it's not exactly freezing temperatures, but still a little bit iffy, especially with these altitudes. Alright, here we are, 3/4 of the way, and bam, top of the storm. I believe we're over Rendsburg about now. Not that it matters too much. The storm was pretty far south at this point, and it kept going south. So, unfortunately, like Frankfurt is under the same weather conditions as this. That we didn't even hit that until like 2 or 3 flights later. So there's Hamburg below us. Hamburg. Yep, there it is. You can see the rain. The whole city is blanketed in this wall of rain. But we're gonna head off now to Berlin. And I've actually never been to Berlin, to be honest. I lived in Germany, but we didn't do a lot of traveling to the east side of Germany. Here we are. Because I haven't really been to Berlin, I don't know much about it. Other than it's got a couple really interesting structures. Some of which are being destroyed. Like this, the Tempelhofer Flugplatz. Yeah, there we are, border of Germany and Poland. Headed to Krakow. Oh, Warsaw first. And there's Warsaw below us. One more no stop flight over the top of it. Gotta come up with better words, better names for those kind of things. Or just work on my speech in general. I'm terrible at this. We're banking it to the right, heading to Krakow for the night. And there's Krakow, spreading out below us as we turned into final at the airport. I've said this a lot already, but the farm fields, man, I can't get over how interesting looking they are across the world. Yeah, I came in a little high, so I nose dove a little bit, try to level out my approach, and ended up with a pretty smooth landing, not gonna lie. But that's it. Uh, you'll see me open up the canopy at some point after parking it, because I was just ready. We're finally at the point where I can start visiting places that I have been